Okay, how's everyone doing? Mr. Landis has asked me or given me the opportunity, I'm not sure he knows what the word opportunity means at times, so anyway, he's asked me to do a presentation on the flipped classroom at our next faculty share coming up in the middle of January. And flipping is what I've been doing in my U.S. and Virginia Advanced History class this past semester, what I hope to do in both of them next semester, and we'll probably do in all of my classes next year. So with that in mind, I thought I'd make this video because this is central to the flip and the whole idea. So I'll give you a brief description of what flipping is in here, a brief explanation of why I flipped, and hopefully then at the faculty share we can be spending more time discussing the flip than me actually talking at you. Hopefully you received a link with this video to a website that has a great deal of information regarding explaining and justifying the flipped classroom, so that you'll have plenty to ask or discuss when we get together. Alright, so this year I began flipping my classroom, and the main push for this was there's been such a focus on SOLs and standards that I've found myself to be more and more in front of the classroom, lecturing, delivering direct instruction, spitting information at my students. Hopefully something sticks to them, and my class has become increasingly teacher focused at the expense of student involvement. This bothers me because I strongly believe that students should not only be actively engaged participants in the education process, but they need to be for real learning and understanding to take place. And student activities unfortunately are sacrificed more and more, and I refuse to be cornered into teaching to a test, especially one as poorly formatted as the Virginia and U.S. History SOL. So with that in mind, and I'll expand on reasons a little bit more, but that's the main push there, I'm thinking. So a little background where this starts. Dan Tratnak and I were having a conversation one day, a discussion about MOOCs, massive online open courses, and distance learning, and somehow it brought up the flipped classroom, and it sparked a little interest in me, and I did a bunch of research on it, started looking online, and I liked what I saw. So I decided to write a grant and move in this direction. So this is all Dan's fault. All right, thank you, Dan. With that being said, I bring this up because I am not a fan of online education, distance learning. I don't believe it's effective. I don't believe it works because it's lacking active student involvement. So that's not what the flipped is. The flipped classroom is not distance learning. All right. What the flipped classroom is, or the basic idea of it is, yes, the direct instruction is loaded online in various formats. The students then watch my presentations, videos, as homework instead of doing the usual book work. Presenting the lectures online allows the focus of the class then to shift away from me, away from the teacher, towards the students where it belongs. Students then use class time for other activities, projects, both individual and group, that engage them and focus on inquiry-based learning and critical thinking. All right, presenting the lectures online and putting the material online also allows the teacher to focus on differentiation, remediation, and reinforcement. It makes the teacher much more available during the class time for students who need a little extra help. And that's one of the things I hope to become a little better at next year, next semester and next year. All right, so then some more reasons. Let's go into why I flipped and why I find loading the material online so useful. Again, the main one was too much class time was spent on delivery, not enough student-centered activities. And what we all know is not all students learn at the same pace, right? So loading the material online allows for the students to work through the material at their own pace at home. I'm not saying they have as much time as they need. One of the things you may have looked at with the Flipped is Mastery education, and I don't have time for that. I can't deal with that. So I give them topics. Each unit may have a number of videos for it. When topic number 1 is up, they're quizzed on it. So they use as much time at home as they need to keep pace, okay? But they get to go through the material without the distractions of class. All right. I also now am away from teaching to the middle. All right. We seemed, or maybe it was just me, but there was much of the time where I was not teaching to all the students in my classroom, not effectively anyway. And a lot of the times the higher level thinkers and learners in my classroom were neglected because they didn't need me. And now Whether they like it or not, they get my attention. All right, and the struggling students have the time for enough remediation. All right, and the content is permanently loaded online for them to use as much as they need, for them and their parents. All right, so there's no reason for them to not be able to review and remediate even with help at home. All right, one of my favorite things about loading material online, especially with certain groups. I wish I had used it in my first block where I had 2 kids miss more than 20 days this semester. In my advanced class, if you're absent, it doesn't matter. The videos are online, the material is online, you're quizzed on that material. All right, the work we do in class utilizes that material, expands upon it, but you're responsible for that specific material. So when you come into class, if there's a quiz scheduled that day, you don't miss it. You have to take it. All right, you're still responsible for that. All right, so some of the things I hope to achieve and see and have seen in my flipped classroom, I hope to see a classroom where all my students are engaged and challenged. I hope to see a big expansion of understanding, comprehension, and ability to utilize the material that's given to them. I hope to become much more effective at differentiation. All right, what I have seen and hope to see much more of is students taking responsibility for their own learning, and the pride they have in effectively doing it is awesome. And I hope to utilize my time better for effective remediation, especially when I expand this into my standard classes. So a couple things to keep in mind. I don't want to keep you all day on this. One of the things I try to do with the videos is their homework should be no more than 10 minutes a night. Sometimes it has to be, it's rare, but I try to keep it down to 10 minutes of video a night. All right, so some things to keep in mind. There's no rule book for flipping. Put online as much or as little as you feel comfortable with. Don't do it at all. It doesn't affect me. All right, some of the tools that I use that I would like you to be aware of, and I'd be happy to help anybody and everybody with, is I have a Sony Bloggie I use. And we have flip cams down and Bloggies in the library, I believe. I use an iPad. I actually let the kids use the iPads a great deal. One of the projects, or a bunch of projects they do, instead of writing out timelines in history now, they make video timelines. I hope to share one of them with you at the presentation. And we use TouchCast, an app for the iPad now download for PCs, which is excellent. Allows you to record video and put whiteboards and stuff in there. I use Google Sites, especially for collaborative work in the class and projects. I use YouTube and TeacherTube, both are necessary. I have some Adobe Premiere editing software, a green screen. EduCreation is an app for the iPad and Nomia. All right, and I'll go into all these more if you have interest in them when we get together at the faculty share. That being said, I'll see you there.